After 20 minutes of cleaning the lens, still, it's good enough.
Well, you throw it into your bag and you never clean it,
Well,
and it's like a billion years old, so...
Yeah, I also take a lot of leaks in my bag, too. It's bound to get a little messy at some point. Should we pause it and try cleaning it again?
No. I'm tired.
Oh, you were so tired when you got off work.
I was very tired.
But honey, we got a Western to go see.
Mondays are like my long day, and I was like, God, why do I agree to this?
Why did it go? Because, honey, this is your high noon.
No, you asked me, and I was like, okay, sure.
Well, who else was I going to ask to take to go see this movie? You'd be mad if I didn't.
I'm not that knowledgeable, though, about this.
More so than I am. or anyone else I would have taken.
It's been a long time since I've been to seminary school or to church, so.
Mm-hmm. Sure, well, I mean, this is...
And I never listened to begin with, so.
You still don't... No, we did that, we found like a Mormon Family Feud thing like a couple of weeks ago, and you did really well at that.
Like, with stuff like that I grew up with, like Mormon hymns or what, like, the rules are, but not history. History is one of the things I really don't know that well now.
Well, after seeing this movie, you know who Joseph Smith is.
Well, I know the basics.
He had a brother? No, so this is one of those movies that I didn't even realize existed until 2 days ago, where I just happened to be on like Fandango looking to see if is The Irishman coming around? I'm going to try to see that this week because it's playing in the city, but I'm like, is The Irishman playing around here? And I was on like Monday's thing and I saw it's Out of Liberty. What is... I can always tell when it is a religious movie, so by looking at the poster and the title, I was like, I have a feeling. And when I clicked on it, and it wasn't very specific about, in the summary, it wasn't very specific about its plot, really, or anything like that, other than, like, I forget exactly what it said, but it was one of those summaries where I was like, it's not telling me it's a religious movie, but A, I can tell that it is, and B, given what they're saying about that it's taking place in this jail in Missouri, I go, I have a sneaking suspicion this is a Mormon film, and I looked it up, and like, sure enough, I'm like, honey, come here, there's a Mormon Western playing over at the theater on Monday, and it was only playing at one time, 7, so I'm like, I don't know if this is a one-time only showing, if this is a Fathom thing. I don't think it was a Fathom thing, but like, but I'm like, I don't know. I'm like, do you want to go see this?
Well, when I looked at the summary, it does say like the Mormons were caught by the Missouri militia.
I mean, on the Fandango site.
Oh, I was looking at it on like IMDb or something.
Oh, okay,
so
yeah.
I was like, it's pretty clear it's a Mormon movie.
No, Fandango it wasn't.
But yeah, I was like, yeah, I guess sure, why not? I guess I would be the one that knows more about this than anyone else on your site.
You should have been at the Stray though. The Mormon comedy dog
I would be able
movie.
I would be like, this is Jared Hess, I'm pretty sure.
In the spirit of Jared Hess. This is the movie it's Joseph Smith, his brother, and a few others are being held in this jail. 1839, I think this is taking place. And so they're being watched over by this jailer who has to keep them inside because they're awaiting this hearing for treason. And so he's got to keep them from escaping because they're trying to escape a lot during this movie. Also, like, protection, too. But yeah, and it's also like a protection thing where there are lynch mobs who show up wanting to break inside, wanting to take them away, wanting to kill them.
It was a thing in Missouri around that time period, which, it wasn't uncommon, I guess, for Missouri to... Because Mormons were trying to go from... they were traveling from New York, and then I think they went to Illinois, and they passed the Mississippi River to get to Missouri, and Missouri, hated them, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I think it was
and
legal to like
shoot them or
Yeah,
something.
yeah.
But they were known for, it was just like a bunch of also just kind of embellishing a lot of things about like, oh, they are trying to like kill you and stuff, and just a lot of, just a new religion is arising, so there's a lot of suspicion.
Yeah.
And,
So you know your history.
no, just a little bit. I mean, just
Yeah.
from the movie too. This is what they were telling us, and I
Yeah.
already kind of knew that about Missouri, and so they're kind of captured, I guess, by the Missouri militia. And
So what you kind of have here with this movie is this kind of Mormon Rio Bravo, kind of like Assault on Precinct 13. It's a John Wayne movie, but it's the one I showed you some clips of with the Dean Martin is in.
oh, right, yeah. It is
Great movie, one of the best westerns of all time. But
certainly a Western PG.
oh, and it's a
Western.
PG. Yeah. So it's not. Watching the movie, there was actually a number of things I did like about it. Like, it is a fascinating story. So watching it, I was like, there's some scenes in this that do work. Like, especially when some of these mobs show up. Then it actually kind of did get a little suspenseful after a while.
There was some suspense.
Some of the acting is fairly decent in the movie. The dude playing the jailer, like he was good. There's an actor in it later on, or early on in the movie, who has a monologue about Joseph Smith, and that guy.
I thought that was pretty good too.
Yeah, that guy did a really good job. And it is it's different than Pure Flix in that this is a movie about religious persecution. That
real
is
persecution.
religious persecution.
Well, it's historical too.
Yeah, it
so
is.
yeah, there actually is religious persecution, but there is at one point in the movie where they say maybe we wouldn't hate you guys as much if you guys didn't act so pious and above us.
Uh-huh.
Do you remember that part
Yeah,
of the
yeah.
movie? Yeah, and it's like, yeah, maybe they should try and not act like, we are better than you, which I could see maybe some people being like, you guys just are trying to act like you're above us.
I did kind of like that it's that light in the background. No, you're fine. You're fine. You just look really angelic.
It's natural.
Yeah. Oh, that's what it is. It's not an actual light background. I kind of enjoy that it is a very human story, and that these characters don't want to be martyrs. So, like, usually you'll kind of see a movie like this, and they'll sort of be like, how do I put this?
Unrealistic?
No. Where they'll just kind of be like, well, this is the path that I'm on, and do with me what you will. Whereas in this case, it's sort of like, no, man.
Survival.
Yeah, they're like, no, man, like, we want to get the hell out of here. So, like, they are trying to... they say it just like that. Nah, dude, like, we don't want this lynch mob showing up and torching our asses.
With all the other ones, yes. Joseph Smith, a little bit, no. The actor that plays him, I was, like, a little disappointed by the casting. Like, it's not that he was a bad actor, but... I think I know why they casted this guy, because Joseph Smith is known for being very tall.
Uh-huh.
This guy is not very tall at all. But the architecture of this jailhouse is, I think this is pretty common back then, had a really short ceiling.
Yeah.
So if they had this guy that was really tall, he might have to be doing this a lot.
I was thinking about that too.
Yeah.
But, because, okay, if we're getting into, like, qualms I have with the movie... For the most part, the acting is fine, especially the dude playing the jailer, and even some of the prisoners do a good job. Like, they have monologues. The guy playing Joseph Smith seems like he would be fine if you were watching this acted out in a church, and he's
like a play?
Yeah, and he's the one chosen to play Joseph Smith because. Joseph Smith was what, 6'5" or something like that?
Tall.
Or like he was tall.
Yeah.
The guy in this looks like me in a wig.
Did he have a wig in this?
Well, if I was wearing a wig. A couple of times, maybe he might not have been, but like...
He didn't look like Joseph Smith. He had...
No.
Because Joseph Smith is known for having that, like, very, what word am I thinking of? I can't. Okay, whatever.
It
But
seems
he
like-
had like blue eyes and brown hair.
Yeah.
Like this guy had like dark brown eyes, brown hair. But I guess if you were going in there not knowing what Joseph Smith looks like, maybe it wouldn't bother you.
Maybe,
at all,
but at the same time, but even without that though, like it's not. He's the guy who plays him
like
in this.
stocky too.
Yeah, he looks like he's about 5'4", 5'5", and he's very stocky. I could picture him being fine in other movies. There's even a couple scenes in this movie where I thought he did fine. There's a lot of times he's kind of wooden, but it was hard for me to buy that this is some religious leader.
Right. He is a little bit charismatic, I guess.
In parts.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like
there were some other guys that were the other leaders that I thought were like a little bit more charismatic than he was. The one guy that kept on adding, like, bringing the shit bucket up.
I'll get to that in a minute. But like, I'll get to the shit bucket in a second. But
well,
like,
that was the guy I was thinking. I was like, that guy's actually pretty charismatic. I could see that guy.
Yeah. And as far as the height goes, at first I was thinking that, like, okay, well, the ceiling is low, so you wouldn't necessarily want someone who is like that tall. But at the same time, other actors in this look tall. Like, they don't look as short as the guy playing the jailer is filmed kind of tall. Some of the other prisoners kind of are. Whereas, like,
I was gonna say there's not as much camera time on the other jailers as there are on Joseph Smith, but there is a lot of camera time on the jailer.
Yeah,
So,
and I mean the other prisoners. I mean, they're all in one. A lot of this is all kind of taking place in one place. Exactly, that's what I mean. It's like I think they could have gotten somebody who is slightly a bit taller. Like the guy in this movie looks like Roman Polanski. Like,
he could maybe he's played Joseph Smith before, like in things.
I mean,
so maybe like I don't know. They were like, oh, he has like credibility for this role, so
it's a fascinating enough story that I'm like, I honestly would have liked to have seen this like fairly bigger budgeted or something like that.
Like as a PG-13 or R too.
Yeah. I'm like, I would have wanted to see this as like a much larger scale movie, because at times the budget works fine. Like, especially because a lot of it is sort of just in one place, really, in this jail. Other parts, like when some characters are outside talking and there's dialogue, it sort of feels like it's like you're on a tour and this is a reenactment you're watching. Like if the camera were to turn around, there'd be benches and people sitting there watching this play out. Like sometimes it kind of felt like that. Sometimes it was almost, there was a couple times where it came across like this might be in the same universe as Cannibal the Musical.
I was thinking about that. I was like, oh man, I wish there was another movie that I could see about that that when they went through Colorado, was that, or Utah?
About Alfred Packer?
Yeah.
There's a couple. There is one that's called The Legend of Alfred Packer. That's that, but it's a drama and not a musical comedy.
Right.
Yeah, I used to have that on tape. It's super low budget.
Well, I think this movie is made for a Mormon audience.
No,
obviously.
100% it is.
It's something that you show to someone in seminary school and more at church.
And
it's not like, it wasn't like this big budgeted movie. It was just meant for...
No, it is. And as that, it does work, like whatever like kind of qualms I have about it, because like again, like I said, there's parts where the budget kind of works against it a little bit, and it is also too long. Yeah,
it just should have been like an hour 20.
Yeah.
This is an hour 50?
It's an hour and 50 minutes long. This is the kind of movie that if I had watched, because it's kind of got the budget of something I would have seen in school, but at least if it was one of those movies like I'd see in school, it'd only be like an hour long.
Yeah, because then you could actually watch it during that class period.
And watching this, I was sort of like, my attention was kind of coming and going on it. For the most part, I was watching it going... which is how I honestly judge a lot of these movies. For the audience this is not made for a really mainstream audience. Like, for the audience that is going to see this movie, they will get a lot out of it, and the message in the movie is perfectly fine, and even some of the
it's harmless.
Yeah, and even some of the acting is good, too.
It was actually pretty packed.
I figured it would be.
I didn't think it was, like, I haven't seen a Mormon church around here, so I was like,
yeah.
I think we might be the only ones there, unless maybe there's, like...
Oh, no, when I got tickets earlier, it was showing that there was
I didn't know
other people in
that.
there.
I thought you were making a joke when you were saying, oh, it's actually, there's quite a bit of...
Oh, it's crowded. Not psych. That's classic.
Oh, you would do that all the time. Are you kidding? Yeah, like, I could see, like, my mom and my brother or something.
Right.
Like
I know. We joke, like, what if your brother's in there?
he drove all the way here.
No, even better. What if he was in it?
Alex.
The dude playing the jailer did look really, really familiar. I mean, he kind of had like a Keith Carradine vibe to him. Like, we were joking, like, honestly, like, a lot of the movie plays out like you're watching Mormon reenactments of, like, a cut scene from Red Dead Redemption 2.
Oh, yeah, I was saying, like, Arthur Morgan from the second Red Dead Redemption 2. He plays kind of like the jailer.
He kind of was, yeah.
He's very, Western, kind of,
Sort of dresses the same.
kind of dresses the same, too, and very, like...
Like, the guy in this movie could be like Arthur if they did, like, a live-action Red Dead 2.
I did like the jailer's, like, he's not, like, converted or anything. He's just kind of sees justice in the situation. Which, I mean, I don't know exactly if this was, like, what the history of it was.
Yeah.
But I'm guessing, the Mormons were innocent.
Uh-huh.
Maybe, from what the movie was saying.
I don't know much about this story. Like, I was...
this is one of the stories, I was like, I really don't know that much about this story. I know the ones about, like, Carthage and, like, Nauvoo.
Yeah. I didn't know if this was, going into it, I didn't know if this was the situation where he dies at the end of it.
No, that's where he dies. So he goes from this area, he crosses Mississippi River, he lives in Nauvoo, I think. Mm-hmm. And then he gets captured again and goes to Carthage.
Oh, okay.
That's where he is shot.
Oh, okay. I didn't know if that was, like, this story. Like...
No, he dies in Carthage, I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure. I could be wrong, but, with his brother Hiram, who was also in this movie, I think.
Yeah. Were you also picturing, like, the antagonize button? From Red Dead 2 as you're watching this?
I was like, what?
From Red Dead 2.
That'd be funny. I would like this as a video game.
Hey, Joseph, you see if there's anything in my hat? Ha, John. I hadn't heard that one before.
What would be funny is... I'd like to see the one where Joseph Smith is played by Vincent Price.
Oh, yeah.
Did you see that?
No, but I just... Not all the way through. I saw some clips of it.
I could not picture Vincent Price playing Joseph Smith.
They had him look kind of like him in that movie.
But to sound like him? Like, Vincent Price has such, like, a...
Yeah, but I don't... Maybe Joseph Smith sounded like Vincent Price.
Like, hoo.
Oh, like Robin Williams?
Oh, no. No? Like, no... That was a good Vincent Price impression. Stop it. Where he's like, ooh, Tales from the Crypter.
Perfect. Vincent Price, the host of Tales from the Crypt.
Okay, that was the only thing I could think of that was like haunting at the second. Stop it! God.
Vincent Price was not the Crypt Keeper.
I know. Jesus. God.
Boys and ghouls. No.
I was trying to think of something like, this sounds like Vincent Price. Stop it! You're embarrassing me.
Vincent Price was awesome as Joseph Smith in Thriller. I'm sorry, honey. But to go back to what we were saying earlier, the shit bucket.
Right.
I was wondering going in this movie, I was like, is there gonna be some like kind of weird humor in this, like in some of the others? And there is a little, because there's a recurring gag with the crap bucket in the movie.
Yeah, there is. There is a little bit of humor, but for the most part, I think
a couple times.
Yeah, for the most part, it's like a drama.
It is mostly like he'd lift up the thing that the prisoners are in, and they toss the shit bucket upstairs. Oh, stop doing that! Oh man, I'm gonna miss doing that.
I'm not gonna miss anything about this place.
You boys better get out of here. I'm gonna throw you in that cell, and then Mormons are gonna start preaching at you.
Oh yeah, that was kind of funny. I had a couple chuckles.
Yeah, it's
harmless. It's not too preachy. It's mostly just spiritual, I would say. It's just kind of like a lesson of like, let's not judge others, or let's justice for people who have different religious beliefs than you do.
Yeah, certainly. Like, I mean, it's generally speaking, it's like you don't need to go to the theater to see this movie.
No, certainly not. No.
But excuse me. But I mean, certainly for its audience, it works. I mean, like I said, it's too long, and some of it's a little miscast, but some of the acting is good, and this movie does way better with its budget than some of the stuff we've seen recently.
Yeah, I was gonna say, out of Arctic Race,
Great Alaskan Race,
and I didn't see the other Indian Warrior movie.
The Warrior Queen of Johnsey.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I like this one more than the Arctic.
This was a better movie than that. This is a better movie than the Warrior Queen movie Jared and I saw. This movie worked. This movie has better editing to it, and it works well. It works better with its budget than those other movies did. It's fine. Like, it's not great, but it's serviceable for what it is.
Yeah, if you're Mormon, or if you're teaching this time period to a religion class or something, I guess you can show it to them, but yeah. Are
you gonna get it for your mom for like Christmas?
No. I'll tell her about it, but yeah. Nah.
No.
I might ask her a little bit about some of the stuff I had questions about, because I really don't know the story that well.
So is there anything in the history books about the shit bucket?
I'm not going to say that to her.
Fine, I will.
No.
I'm kidding. All right, well, Rob and I are going to see Jojo Rabbit at some point, and I'm going to try to make it into the city to see The Irishman, so we'll have plenty of stuff coming up. Frozen 2's out this weekend, 21 Bridges. Check out the Cinema Snob episode on the Mockbuster Frozen Land, whatever the hell that was called. Check all that stuff out. Follow us on Twitter at the Cinema Snob. See you later.